right, hey, I'm Coach Littlefield, offensive coordinator, Centennial High School. Youth coaches, we're going to teach you a few things here to help you have a successful season and make sure you're doing the fundamentals the way we teach. So I'm going to start with quarterback's hand position. When we teach the quarterbacks, they have a natural puzzle piece with their hands. You see that, Coach? The thumbs line up like this. Our palms are together and our hands are here. We're going to apply upward pressure on the center's butt. In order to do that correctly, quarterback, come here. We always have one quarterback snap to the other. So we'll have our quarterback put his hand here to give pressure. He's pressuring up, and then on his set, we snap the ball to the hand. All right, the first thing we're going to show you in terms of our steps of our quarterback is our biggest play in our offense, our bread and butter, our inside veer. So you'll be calling it veer left and veer right. I'm going to start with veer left. Set up. Here's what we look for out of our quarterback. His first step, his back foot is just pivoting, squishing the bug. In baseball, a lot of kids are familiar with squishing the bug. So we're doing that with his back foot. He's got his lead elbow. It's going to be straight. Arms one's benting. Notice his chin is on his shoulder. Get used to his eyes being on our read key. Eventually your kids will read it down the road, so we want to get him used to having his chin on his shoulder. Go ahead. As he does this a few times, I'll point out some of the things you're looking for. So again, not overstriding. We want to be able to run from this. So there's his first step. Over and over. Go ahead. So ball's extended back so the fullback can get it as deep as he can in the backfield. So want that to be consistent, look the same every time. All right, our second step of our veer. After he's done the first step, he squished the bug, he's opened up, done all the things we just talked about, the shoulder, his chin and his shoulder, his arm extended. Next, our second step is our mesh, or our ride phase. So he's gonna step and ride the ball in the fullback's stomach. Here's our first two steps of our quarterback in inside veer. So 1, 2. Again. So 1, 2. One more. So 1, 2. Thank you. Ready. Second position we'll talk about is our fullback position. What we're looking for in our fullback, this is your most physical running back. It's the guy who carries the load quite a bit in our offense. Got to be able to run through the tackles and has to be tough. He's probably a linebacker mentality with some speed as well. We're talking about his stance first of all and his alignment. First of all, we put him back at 2.5 yards behind our quarterback. You might play with that a little bit depending on his quickness. You may have to set him at 3. Our fullback stance starts like this. His feet are narrower than shoulder width. We start with his elbows on his knees, goes forward into 4-point. From his 4-point, our fullback goes up to 3. If your kids feel comfortable with 4, we're all right with that. If you look at his body position right here, his knees and his feet are in a straight line. His butt is slightly above his shoulders, and he looks like his weight is in his hips, and he's ready to explode and go forward. Give you the side view of that again every time. Shoulders narrower than shoulder width, or feet narrower than shoulder width. There's a position from the side, and from the side you can see probably a little bit better. His butt is slightly higher than his shoulders, weight's in his hips, and he's ready to go forward in a hurry. Our first step for our fullback and inside veer is a short step. If we're going veer right, in a good stance, he's going to take a 6-inch step with his right foot. Set it, and he takes that first step. Go ahead, over and over. He's going to bring his inside elbow up with his first step. Set it. Again. Set it. The next step in our progression of inside veer is we have our quarterback go first, getting his correct steps, our fullback will join him in what we call the mesh point, and then we'll have a second go for him to take a quarterback to take his second step. We ride it and run. So here's inside veer right, quarterback first, set up, takes the steps, fullback second, they get in the mesh, go, ride it through the mesh. Here's a side view of us running veer right in two-step progression. Go ahead. Set up. Go. Here's our veer right from the behind view. Our fullback's aiming point is directly over our guard's butt. You'll notice the spacing. We like to have cones out to show them where the landmarks are. And our spacing between our center and our guard, I'd recommend the youth level being 2.5 feet. Go. Go. So for our older kids, grades 8th and 9th grade, we want to start teaching how to read. Now they're not going to be perfect at it right away, but we want to start teaching. If they're wrong, they'll be wrong. Let's get in the mesh, gentlemen. They'll get in the mesh point based on the steps we talked about earlier. Our quarterback, we've trained his eyes to look at the read key, who in this play is our 5 technique. As a coach, I stand as the 5 technique, and I'll say go. When I say go, if I close, quarterback will keep the ball. If I go upfield or stand still, the fullback will have the ball. Go. This is what it would look like if the 5 technique stands still or goes upfield. Ready? Go. All right, the next position we'll talk about is our right halfback. In our veer right, our right halfback is our blocking back within this play. By alignment, he's 2 yards off our tackle by 2 yards. His inside foot slightly back so he can motion if need be, or he can go straight. It's undetectable by the defense that he's got one slightly back, and it serves us a purpose. On this particular play where he's blocking, we tell our halfbacks to go tight outside the read key. He's going to the linebacker. And so as our tackle releases, go ahead. He's coming tight off of him. He's not going to false step, tight off of him, and he's going into the linebacker. Now notice his pads are low. His left shoulder's making contact. His head's on the play side of the defender. He's blocking for our quarterback running if we were to run with our quarterback. Set. Down. Hit. All right, the last phase of our veer right is the pitch phase. In order to do that, we have our left halfback going pitch motion, and he stays in what we call pitch relationship. For at the youth level, it's probably going to be tough to get the pitch off, but as the kids get more and more experience, they may feel more and more comfortable doing that phase of the game. Our motion back, again, our left side halfback has got his right foot slightly back. His motion brings him straight behind the heels of the fullback. Even at the varsity level, we'll put a cone behind the fullback's heels to make sure he's got an aiming point, because the tendency is to go 2 or 3 yards behind the fullback's heels, which puts him way too deep in the backfield for what we're looking for. The other thing we'd like to do with our left halfback is have him leave late and be in a hurry. And so our cadence is set, down, set, hut, and we'll have our backs leave at the end of down.